What if the biggest enemy in your life isn't outside you? It's the voice inside your head that never stops talking. Tonight, millions of people will lie awake at 3 a.m., replaying conversations, worrying about tomorrow, and torturing themselves with endless what-ifs. They are not lazy. They are not weak. They are trapped in overthinking, the silent thief that steals your peace, your sleep, your joy, and your future. If you're tired of living in your own head, stay with me. In the next 2 hours, you will finally understand why your mind does this and how to break free forever. Welcome to the psychology of overthinking. Let's begin. Welcome to the infinite library. You are not here by accident. You open this audiobook because something inside you is tired of the constant mental noise, tired of lying awake, replaying the same conversations, tired of second-guessing every decision, tired of feeling exhausted even when you haven't done anything physically demanding. You are not alone. Overthinking has become an epidemic of the modern mind. It affects doctors and students, CEOs and stay-at-home parents, artists and engineers alike. It does not discriminate by age, income, or intelligence. In fact, the more intelligent you are, the more likely you are to overthink, because your brain has more horsepower to generate endless scenarios, worries, and what-ifs. But here's the truth that almost no one tells you. Overthinking is not a personality trait. It is not just how you are. It is a psychological pattern, a learned habit of the mind that can be understood, interrupted, and ultimately replaced with something far more powerful: clarity, peace, and freedom. This full audiobook is not another generic stop worrying guide. It is a deep, compassionate, science-backed journey into the hidden psychology of why your mind refuses to rest, and exactly how to give the rest it desperately needs. Let's be brutally honest for a moment. Overthinking is stealing your life in slow motion. Every hour you spend ruminating is an hour you are not present with the people you love. Every night you lose to sleepless worry is a night your body cannot repair itself. Every decision you delay because you're trapped in analysis paralysis is an opportunity that quietly slips away. The cost is not just emotional. It is physical, relational, financial, and spiritual. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that chronic overthinkers have significantly higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone that accelerates aging, weakens the immune system, and increases the risk of heart disease, depression, and anxiety disorders. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology found that people who score high on overthinking scales report 40% lower life satisfaction and 60% higher rates of regret. But the deepest tragedy is this: you're living in a prison whose bars are made of thoughts. And the worst part? You are both the prisoner and the warden. You keep the prison doors locked with the same mind that is suffering inside it. Why this happens? The psychology behind the pain. Your brain is an incredible survival machine. For hundreds of thousands of years, it evolved to keep you alive by constantly scanning for danger, predicting threats, and solving problems. In the ancient world, that constant vigilance saved your ancestors from lions and snakes. In the modern world, it has turned against you. Now it scans for social rejection instead of predators. It predicts financial ruin instead of starvation. It replays awkward conversations instead of tiger tracks. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. To it, a worrying thought feels exactly the same as a real danger. So it keeps the alarm system switched on 24/7. This is why overthinking feels so exhausting. You are running a psychological fight or flight response over nothing but thoughts. And because your brain is so good at what it does, it creates an endless loop. Worry, more thoughts, more worry, more thoughts. The loop feels impossible to escape because you are trying to solve the problem with the same mind that created it. The good news: there is a way out. Here is what I want you to hear clearly. You are not broken. Your mind is not defective. It is simply using an outdated operating system for a world that no longer exists. And the beautiful truth is this: your brain is plastic. It can be rewired. It can be trained. It can be given a new operating system, one that brings peace instead of chaos, clarity instead of confusion, and freedom instead of mental imprisonment. That is exactly what this audiobook will do. Over the next 8 chapters, we will go deep into the psychology of overthinking, not with empty platitudes, but with real science, practical tools, and proven strategies that actually work. You will discover why your brain overthinks and how to interrupt the cycle, the hidden emotional drivers that fuel rumination, the most effective mental models to break free from overthinking, daily practices that rewire your default thinking patterns, how to turn your powerful mind from an enemy into your greatest ally. By the time we finish this journey together, overthinking will no longer control you. You will control it. This is not just another self-help audiobook. This is a compassionate, no-fluff guide written for real people who are tired of living in their heads. Whether you are a chronic worrier, a perfectionist, an overachiever, or simply someone who wants their mind to finally feel quiet and peaceful, this book was made for you. You have already taken the most important step by pressing play. Now, let the transformation begin. Take a slow, deep breath with me right now. Inhale, exhale, feel your shoulders drop just a little. Feel your mind settle, even for a moment. That small moment of peace is possible more often than you think. And by the end of this audiobook, it will become your new normal. So, my friend, are you ready? Let's walk together into Chapter 1, The Silent Thief, Why Overthinking Controls Your Life. I'll be right here with you every step of the way. The Psychology of Overthinking. Chapter 1, The Silent Thief, Why Overthinking Controls Your Life. What if the biggest enemy in your life isn't outside you? It's the voice inside your head that never stops. Tonight at 3 a.m., millions of people will lie awake replaying conversations, worrying about tomorrow and torturing themselves with what-ifs. This is overthinking, the silent thief that steals your peace, your sleep, your joy, and your future. In this chapter, you will finally understand exactly why your mind does this and why it feels impossible to stop. Stay with me. The first step to freedom is seeing the thief clearly. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. You're lying in bed. The room is dark. The world is quiet. But inside your head, a storm is raging. Did I say the wrong thing in that meeting? What if my partner is unhappy and hasn't told me? Am I falling behind in life while everyone else is moving forward? The thoughts loop. They twist. They multiply. Your heart races. Your stomach tightens. Sleep becomes impossible. This is not rare. This is the daily reality for over 70% of adults in the modern world. And the cruel irony? The more intelligent you are, the more you overthink. Your powerful brain, the same one that helped humanity survive for millennia, has turned against you. It has become a prison of its own making. Overthinking is not just worrying too much. It is a psychological trap that hijacks your entire nervous system. When you overthink, your brain treats every thought as a real threat. It floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline, the same chemicals released when you're being chased by a lion, except there is no lion. There is only a thought. Yet your body reacts as if the danger is real. This is why chronic overthinkers suffer from insomnia, anxiety disorders, depression, digestive problems, high blood pressure, weakened immune systems. The science is clear. Studies from Harvard Medical School and the National Institute of Mental Health show that people who overthink have measurably smaller prefrontal cortexes, the part of the brain responsible for rational decision-making. The more you overthink, the less you are able to think clearly. It becomes a vicious cycle. You worry, your thinking becomes cloudy, you make poor decisions, you worry even more. Most people believe overthinking is just a bad habit. They tell themselves, I just need to relax, or I'll stop tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes, because overthinking is not a habit. It is a survival mechanism gone wrong. Real-world example, meet Sarah. Sarah is 34, a successful marketing manager, intelligent, ambitious, and well-liked. On paper, her life looks perfect, but every night she lies awake for hours. She replays the meeting from earlier that day. She analyzes every word her boss said. She worries that her team secretly resents her. She imagines worst-case scenarios about her upcoming presentation. By morning, she is exhausted. Her performance at work suffers. Her relationships suffer. She feels trapped in her own mind. Sarah is not broken. She is overthinking. And until she understands the psychology behind it, she will remain trapped. The psychology of overthinking. Overthinking has three main psychological roots. Evolutionary mismatch. Our brains evolved to solve immediate survival problems. In the savannah, rumination helped us avoid danger. Today, that same mechanism activates over emails, social media, and future uncertainties that our ancestors never faced. The illusion of control overthinking gives us the false belief that if we think about something long enough, we can control the outcome. This is why people ruminate after breakups or failures. The mind desperately tries to solve what cannot be solved. Perfectionism and fear of uncertainty. Perfectionists overthink because they believe there's a perfect decision. The fear of making the wrong choice keeps them paralyzed in analysis. Neuroscientific ally. Overthinking lights up the default mode network, DMN, the brain's autopilot for self-referential thinking. When the DMN is hyperactive, the task-positive network, the part that solves real problems, shuts down. This is why you can spend 3 hours thinking about a problem and still have no solution. The hidden costs most people never see. Lost opportunities, damaged relationships, physical health decline, creative block, chronic stress that shortens lifespan. A 2022 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that chronic overthinkers die earlier on average, not from the thoughts themselves, but from the stress they create. Why awareness alone is not enough. Knowing you overthink does not stop it. You need a new operating system for your mind. That new operating system is what the rest of this audiobook will give you, chapter by chapter, tool by tool. Chapter 2, The Hidden Mechanisms, How Overthinking Hijacks Your Brain. Overthinking isn't just too many thoughts. It is a precise neurological hijacking of your brain's most powerful systems. In this chapter, you will discover exactly how your mind gets trapped in endless loops, why it feels impossible to stop, and the hidden brain mechanisms that keep the cycle alive. By the end, you will finally understand the machinery behind your suffering and why real freedom is closer than you think. Stay with me. The truth is about to set your mind free. Let's begin with a simple but shocking truth. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do, only in the wrong environment. Overthinking is not a flaw in your character. It is a sophisticated survival mechanism that has been hijacked by modern life. Inside your skull sits the most advanced supercomputer ever created. Yet right now, for millions of people, that supercomputer is running a program called Rumination 24/7, a program that was only meant to run for a few minutes in life or death situations. Today, we're going to open the hood and look at the actual machinery. We are going to see which parts of your brain are overactive, which parts are being suppressed, and exactly why the loop feels so impossible to escape. This is not theory. This is neuroscience, psychology, and biology meeting in real time. Once you see the mechanism clearly, you can begin to dismantle it. Overthinking feels like a mental prison because it is literally a prison built by your own brain chemistry and neural pathways. When you overthink, 3 major brain networks go into overdrive, while the part responsible for rational control goes offline. First, the default mode network, DMN, the part of your brain that activates when you're not focused on a task, becomes hyperactive. This network is responsible for self-referential thinking. What if I fail? What do they mean by that? Am I good enough? In healthy people, the DMN turns on and off. In chronic overthinkers, it stays switched on like a broken radio that never stops playing anxious music. Second, the amygdala, your brain's fear and emotion center, lights up like a Christmas tree. Every worrying thought is treated as a real and present danger. Your body releases cortisol and adrenaline exactly as if a tiger were standing in front of you. The only difference is the tiger exists only in your imagination. Third, the prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, the part that makes wise decisions and regulates emotion, gets suppressed. This is why you can spend hours thinking about a problem and still feel more confused at the end than when you started. Your rational brain has literally been taken offline by the emotional storm. This combination creates the perfect neurological trap. The DMN generates endless thoughts. The amygdala turns them into threats. The prefrontal cortex shuts down. You feel even more anxious. The DMN generates more thoughts. It is a self-reinforcing loop, and your brain believes it is helping you survive. Let me introduce you to Michael. Michael is 42, a respected engineer at a major tech company. He is intelligent, analytical, and highly successful by every external measure. But every evening after work, the same pattern begins. He replays every conversation from the day. He analyzes every email for hidden criticism. He lies awake at night calculating worst-case scenarios for projects that haven't even started. His wife says he is always somewhere else. His children feel he is emotionally absent. He knows he is missing his own life, yet he cannot stop. Michael is not lazy or weak. He is caught in the exact neurological loop I just described. His DMN is running nonstop. His amygdala is treating every work interaction as a threat to his status and security. His prefrontal cortex is exhausted and offline. The worst part? Michael believed the lie that if I just think harder, I'll solve it. He was using the wrong tool for the job, the same way you might try to fix a computer with a hammer. The hidden mechanisms of overthinking. Let's go deeper into the actual science so you can finally understand what is happening inside your head. The default mode network, DMN. Discovered through fMRI studies at Stanford and Harvard, the DMN is most active when your mind is wandering. In overthinkers, this network shows abnormally high connectivity. It is as if the daydreaming circuit has been hijacked and turned into a 24-hour worry generator. The amygdala hijack, coined by Daniel Goleman. An amygdala hijack occurs when the emotional brain takes over the rational brain. In chronic overthinkers, this hijack happens dozens of times per day. Each time, cortisol floods your system, creating a feedback loop that makes the next worry even stronger. The role of the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC. This part of the brain acts like a smoke detector for errors and conflicts. In overthinkers, the ACC is chronically overactive, constantly signaling something is wrong, even when nothing is. Neurochemical imbalance chronic overthinking depletes serotonin and GABA, the calming neurotransmitters, while increasing glutamate, the excitatory one. This chemical imbalance makes calm almost impossible without deliberate intervention. The Perfectionism, Rumination link research by Susan Nolan-Hoaxma at Yale showed that people with high perfectionism have a specific rumination response style. Instead of problem-solving, they turn inward and brood. This style is strongly linked to depression and anxiety. Trauma and overthinking for many people. Overthinking began as a survival strategy during childhood trauma or unstable environments. The brain learned that constant vigilance equals safety. Even when the danger is long gone, the pattern remains. Why overthinking feels addictive? Your brain releases a small hit of dopamine every time it solves a worry loop. Even if the solution is imaginary, this creates a subtle addiction. You feel temporary relief when you overthink, so the behavior reinforces itself. The good news, your brain can change. Neuroplasticity is real. Every time you interrupt an overthinking loop and choose a different response, you're literally rewiring your brain. The pathways that currently fuel rumination can be weakened. New pathways for clarity and peace can be strengthened. Chapter 3. The emotional roots. What really powers the overthinking cycle? Overthinking isn't just a thinking problem. It is an emotional problem, wearing a thinking disguise. In this chapter, you will discover the hidden emotional fuels that keep the overthinking engine running. Perfectionism, fear of failure, shame, and the desperate need for control. You will finally understand why your mind feels so personal and painful when it spirals. By the end, you will see exactly how to begin unhooking the emotions that power the cycle. Stay with me. The key to freedom is not fighting your thoughts. It is healing the emotions behind them. Here is the insight that changes everything. Overthinking is not a thinking disorder. It is an emotional protection strategy that has gone rogue. Your mind doesn't overthink because it loves thinking. It overthinks because it is trying to protect you from feeling something painful. Shame, rejection, failure, abandonment, or not being enough. The thoughts are just the surface. The real fuel is emotion. Once you see this clearly, you stop fighting the thoughts and start healing the emotions underneath. That is when real change becomes possible. Most people believe overthinking is purely a mental habit. They say, I just need to think less. But the truth is far more intimate and painful. Overthinking is your brain's way of trying to solve an emotional wound with logic. It is an attempt to feel safe, worthy, and in control, using the wrong tool. When you were young, your brain learned that thinking hard could sometimes protect you from painful emotions. If you analyzed every mistake, maybe you could avoid future pain. If you rehearsed every conversation, maybe you could prevent rejection. If you worried enough about the future, maybe you could control it. That strategy worked for a while. It kept you safe as a child. But now, as an adult, the same strategy has become a prison. The emotions that power overthinking are usually perfectionism, the belief that you must be flawless to be worthy, fear of failure or rejection, the terror of being seen as not enough, shame, the deep feeling that something is fundamentally wrong with you, need for control, the illusion that worrying gives you power over uncertain outcomes. These emotions sit in the background like invisible drivers, constantly feeding the overthinking machine. Meet Elena. Elena is 29, a talented graphic designer who is loved by her friends and respected at work. On the outside, her life looks beautiful, but every night she lies in bed replaying every interaction from the day. Did my client think my design was weak? Was I too quiet in the team meeting? What if they all secretly think I'm not talented enough? She doesn't realize that the real driver is not the thoughts themselves. The real driver is an old emotional wound from childhood, a father who was never satisfied, and a mother who praised her only when she was perfect. Elena's overthinking is not about the design. It is about the little girl inside who is still trying to prove she is worthy of love. Until she addresses that emotional root, no amount of positive thinking will stop the spiral. The emotional roots of overthinking. Let's go beneath the surface and examine the actual emotional architecture that keeps overthinking alive. 1. Perfectionism. The silent killer research by Dr. Bream Brown and others shows that perfectionism is not the same as healthy striving. Perfectionism is a belief system that says, I am only worthy if I am flawless. This belief creates a constant internal threat. If I make one mistake, I am unworthy. The mind responds by overthinking every decision, every word, every outcome, desperately trying to avoid the shame of being not enough. 2. Fear of rejection and abandonment. Many chronic overthinkers have an anxious attachment style formed in childhood. The brain learned that love and safety are conditional, so it overthinks social interactions to try to secure connection and avoid abandonment. Every text message, every tone of voice, every silence becomes data for analysis. 3. Shame. The core wound. Shame is the most toxic emotion for overthinkers. It whispers, there is something fundamentally wrong with you. Overthinking becomes a defense against feeling that shame directly. If you can just think hard enough, maybe you can fix yourself before anyone sees the flaw. 4. The illusion of control. Overthinking gives a false sense of control. By worrying about every possible outcome, the mind believes it can prevent bad things from happening. This is why people overthink the future. It feels like preparation, but it is actually emotional avoidance. Neurochemical and physiological links. When these emotions are active, the brain releases higher levels of cortisol and lower serotonin and GABA. This chemical state makes calm almost impossible and keeps the default mode network locked in rumination mode. Why emotional healing is the real solution. You cannot outthink an emotional problem. You can only heal it. The moment you begin to address the underlying emotions through self-compassion, inner child work, or gentle reparenting, the overthinking loses its fuel. The thoughts still appear, but they no longer have the emotional charge that makes them stick. Practical first step you can take today. Tonight, before bed, try this simple practice. Place your hand on your heart and say gently to yourself, I see you're hurting. I'm here. You don't have to figure everything out tonight. This small act of self-compassion begins to soothe the emotional root and weakens the overthinking cycle. Chapter 4. The Breaking Point. How overthinking destroys your health, relationships, and future. Overthinking doesn't just steal your peace. It quietly destroys your health, your relationships, and your entire future. In this chapter, you will see the real, measurable damage it causes every single day. The physical toll on your body, the emotional distance it creates with the people you love, and the opportunities it silently kills. You will finally understand why the cost is far higher than you ever realized, and why breaking the cycle is no longer optional. Stay with me. Facing the damage is the first step toward real healing. Here is the uncomfortable truth most people never want to hear. Overthinking is not harmless. It is not just in your head. It is actively destroying your life in slow motion, one sleepless night, one strained conversation, one missed opportunity at a time. While you lie awake replaying conversations, your body is flooding with stress hormones that shorten your lifespan. While you mentally rehearse every possible outcome, you are emotionally absent from the people who matter most. While you overanalyze every decision, life is passing you by. This chapter is not gentle. It is necessary. We are going to look honestly at the real, measurable price you are paying for overthinking, so you can finally decide that enough is enough. Overthinking doesn't feel like it's hurting you in the moment. It feels productive. It feels responsible. It feels like you're being careful. But the science tells a very different story. Chronic overthinking is now linked to higher rates of heart disease, weakened immune function, accelerated brain aging, increased risk of clinical depression and anxiety disorders, shorter telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA that determine how fast you age. A landmark 2022 study from the University of California found that people who score high on rumination scales have measurably higher levels of inflammation throughout their bodies. The same kind of inflammation linked to cancer, Alzheimer's, and autoimmune diseases. Your mind is not just thinking. It is literally poisoning your body with stress chemicals every single day. And the damage is not only physical. Meet David. David is 38, married with 2 young children, and works as a mid-level manager in a stable company. To everyone on the outside, he appears successful and put together. But his wife feels emotionally disconnected. His children say he is always distracted. He has missed family dinners, bedtime stories, and weekend outings because his mind was somewhere else, replaying a work conversation or worrying about a presentation that is still 2 weeks away. David's overthinking has slowly eroded the most important relationships in his life. He is physically present, but emotionally absent. His wife feels like she is competing with a voice in his head. His children are growing up without the full presence of their father. David doesn't realize it yet, but the real cause of his overthinking is not the lost sleep or the anxiety. It is a slow, invisible death of connection with the people he loves most. The real-world damage of overthinking. Let's look honestly at the 3 major areas where overthinking creates devastating, measurable harm. 1. Physical health. Your body pays the highest price. Chronic overthinking keeps your sympathetic nervous system in a constant state of fight or flight. This leads to elevated cortisol levels 24/7, disrupted sleep cycles. Even when you finally fall asleep, the quality is poor. Weakened immune response. You get sick more often. Cardiovascular strain, higher blood pressure, and risk of heart disease. Accelerated cellular aging, shorter telomeres. A 2021 meta-analysis in psychosomatic medicine showed that people who ruminate daily have a 43% higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease and a significantly shorter life expectancy. 2. Relationships. The silent killer of connection. Overthinking creates emotional distance even when you are physically present. Your partner feels like they are talking to someone who is only half there. Your children sense that your mind is elsewhere. Friends eventually stop reaching out because conversations feel one-sided. Over time, the people who love you the most start to feel like they are competing with the voice in your head. Many relationships end not with dramatic fight, but with a slow, painful drift caused by chronic emotional absence. 3. Career and life opportunities. The hidden cost. Overthinking leads to analysis paralysis. You miss promotions because you overthink whether you're ready. You hesitate on business opportunities because you overanalyze every risk. You stay in jobs you hate because you overthink the uncertainty of change. The compound effect over years is staggering. While others move forward, you stay stuck in the same place, not because you lack ability, but because your mind refuses to let you act. Why most people never see the full damage. The tragedy is that overthinking is invisible. It doesn't leave obvious scars. It doesn't make a loud noise. It quietly steals your life while convincing you that you are just being careful. The turning point, why this damage matters. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. Facing the real cost of overthinking is painful, but it is also liberating. Because once you see how much it is taking from you, you finally become willing to change. Chapter 5. The Interruption. Practical tools to break the overthinking loop. You now understand why overthinking happens and how much damage it causes. But understanding alone is not enough. In this chapter, you will learn the exact, practical tools that actually interrupt the overthinking loop in real time. Before it takes over your mind again, you will discover simple, science-backed techniques that you can use today to break the cycle and reclaim your peace. Stay with me. The moment you learn these tools, overthinking loses its power over you. Here is the most important truth of this entire audiobook. You cannot outthink overthinking. You can only interrupt it. The moment you stop trying to solve the thoughts and start interrupting the pattern, everything changes. Most people stay stuck because they believe they must think their way out of overthinking. That is like trying to dig your way out of a hole with the same shovel that dug the hole. This chapter is different. It gives you the actual tools, the interrupters, that create space between you and the endless loop. These are not fluffy affirmations. These are practical, neuroscience-backed techniques that have been proven to reduce rumination in clinical studies. Once you master even one of them, you will feel the difference immediately. Explaining the problem. The reason overthinking feels impossible to stop is simple. You are trying to fix it with the same mind that created it. Every time a worrying thought appears, your automatic response is to engage with it, to analyze it, to argue with it, to solve it. That engagement is exactly what keeps the loop alive. The brain learns. When I think about this, I get a tiny hit of temporary relief. So it keeps offering more thoughts. To break free, you must learn a new response. Interruption. Interruption is not suppression. It is not positive thinking. It is a deliberate pause that creates a gap between the trigger thought and your automatic reaction. In that gap, real change becomes possible. Meet Priya. Priya is 31, a teacher who used to spend every evening trapped in overthinking about her students, her lesson plans, and whether she was doing enough. She would lie awake until 2 a.m. replaying the day. After learning the interruption tools in this chapter, she started using a simple 30-second technique the moment she noticed the spiral beginning. Within 2 weeks, her sleepless nights dropped from 7 per week to 1. Her colleagues noticed she seemed calmer and more present. She told me, "For the first time in years, my mind finally feels like it belongs to me again." Priya didn't think her way out. She interrupted her way out. The practical tools that actually work. Here are the 5 most effective interruption tools, backed by research and ready for you to use today. Tool 1. The 5-second rule, Mel Robbins technique. The moment you notice an overthinking thought, count backwards from 5 to 1 out loud or in your head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This activates your prefrontal cortex and interrupts the automatic DMN loop. Studies show this simple countdown breaks the momentum of rumination in under 5 seconds. Tool 2. Labeling the thought instead of engaging with the thought. Simply label it. That's an overthinking thought. That's my amygdala talking. That's just rumination. Labeling creates distance. fMRI research from UCLA shows that naming the emotion or pattern reduces activity in the amygdala by up to 50%. Tool 3. The body scan interruption. Overthinking lives in the mind. Bring attention to the body. Spend 30 to 60 seconds noticing your feet on the floor, the temperature of your hands, the sensation of breathing. This pulls you out of the default mode network and into the present moment sensory network. Tool 4. Schedule worry time. Set aside one specific 15-minute window each day called worry time. Anytime an overthinking thought appears outside that window, gently say, "I'll think about this at 7 p.m. Research from the University of Pennsylvania shows this technique reduces daily rumination by 40 to 60% within 2 weeks. Tool 5, the what would I tell a friend? Reframe when you catch yourself spiraling. Ask, if my best friend was thinking this way, what would I tell them? This activates self-compassion and immediately weakens the shame that fuels overthinking. How to combine these tools into a daily practice. The secret is not using one tool perfectly. It is using any tool the moment you notice the spiral beginning. Consistency beats intensity. Even 30 seconds of interruption, repeated hundreds of times, rewires your brain. The turning point. You now have the interrupters. The moment you choose to use them instead of engaging with the thoughts, you step out of the role of prisoner and into the role of guardian of your own mind. Chapter 6. The turning point. Rewiring your brain for lasting clarity and peace. You now know why overthinking happens, how it damages your life, and how to interrupt the loop in the moment. But interruption is only the beginning. In this chapter, you will learn how to rewire your brain at a deeper level, so that overthinking loses its grip permanently. You will discover daily practices, mindset shifts, and long-term strategies that create lasting mental clarity and inner peace. Stay with me. This is where the real transformation begins, from managing overthinking to outgrowing it completely. Intellectual hook here is the most hopeful truth in this entire audiobook. Your brain is not fixed. It is changeable. Every single day, through small, consistent actions, you can literally rewire the neural pathways that fuel overthinking and strengthen the pathways that bring clarity and calm. This is called neuroplasticity, and it is your greatest ally. Most people believe they are just an overthinker, as if it's a permanent personality trait. That is a lie. You are not doomed to live with a racing mind forever. With the right practices, you can train your brain to default to peace instead of panic, to clarity instead of chaos. This chapter is your practical roadmap for that rewiring. It is where hope turns into real, lasting change. Explaining the problem interrupting overthinking in the moment is powerful. But if you only do that, you are playing defense forever. True freedom comes when you move from defense to offense, when you actively rewire the brain so that overthinking becomes rare instead of constant. Most people never reach this stage. They learn a few breathing techniques or positive affirmations and wonder why the thoughts keep returning stronger than before, because they never address the deeper wiring. The brain that overthinks has strengthened certain neural highways over years, the pathways of rumination, worry, and self-criticism. Those highways are smooth and fast. The pathways of calm, present moment awareness, and self-compassion are narrow and overgrown. To change your default state, you must build new highways and let the old ones grow over. That takes deliberate, consistent practice. Meet James. James, 47, was a classic chronic overthinker. For decades, he woke up with racing thoughts and went to bed with the same. He tried meditation apps, therapy, and supplements. Nothing gave lasting relief. Then he committed to the rewiring practices you will learn in this chapter. He practiced them every single day for 90 days, no exceptions. By day 60, his wife noticed he was more present during dinner. By day 90, he slept through the night for the first time in years. Most importantly, the thoughts still came, but they no longer had the emotional power to pull him in. James didn't just manage his overthinking. He outgrew it. He rewired his brain. The practical rewiring strategies. Here are the core practices that create lasting change. Use them daily. 1. Daily self-compassion practice. 10 minutes. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you deeply love. When an overthinking thought arises, respond with, I see your suffering. I'm here with you. You don't have to figure this out alone right now. Research from Dr. Kristen Neff shows that self-compassion reduces rumination by 35 to 50% within weeks and increases activity in brain areas associated with emotional regulation. 2. Mindfulness of thought observation. Treat thoughts like clouds passing in the sky. You don't have to chase them or push them away. Simply notice there's a thought. This practice weakens the identification with thoughts and strengthens the observer self. 3. Scheduled brain training sessions. Set aside 15 to 20 minutes daily for deliberate mental training. During this time, practice labeling thoughts using the 5-second rule or doing a body scan. Consistency here is more important than duration. 4. Gratitude plus evidence journaling every evening. Write down 3 pieces of evidence that contradict your overthinking stories. This rewires the brain from negativity bias to balanced realism. 5. Values-based decision-making. Instead of overanalyzing every choice, ask, which option aligns with my core values? This bypasses rumination and moves you into purposeful action. 6. Progressive muscle relaxation plus breathwork. Physical tension fuels mental tension. Daily 10-minute progressive muscle relaxation combined with slow diaphragmatic breathing lowers baseline cortisol and calms the amygdala, creating your personal rewiring plan. Choose 2 to 3 practices from above and commit to them for 30 days. Track your overthinking episodes in a simple journal. You will see measurable progress within the first 2 weeks. The deeper shift, as you rewire, something beautiful happens. You stop fighting your mind and start befriending it. Overthinking thoughts still appear, but they lose their emotional charge and pass through like background noise. Chapter 7. The New Operating System. Living with a clear, peaceful mind. You now know how to interrupt overthinking and how to rewire your brain for lasting change. But what does life actually look like when overthinking no longer runs the show? In this chapter, you will step into a new operating system, a mind that is clear, present, and at peace. You will learn how to maintain your progress, handle setbacks, and live with a mind that finally feels like a peaceful ally instead of a noisy enemy. Stay with me. This is where freedom becomes your new normal. Imagine waking up in the morning and your first thought is not worry, but gratitude. Imagine making decisions without endless second-guessing. Imagine being fully present with the people you love, without your mind constantly drifting into what-if scenarios. This is not fantasy. This is what life feels like when you install a new operating system for your mind. Overthinking doesn't disappear completely, but it loses its power. It becomes like background noise that you can notice and gently let pass, instead of a storm that controls you. In this chapter, we move from recovery to mastery. We explore how to live in this new state, how to protect it, and how to make clarity and peace your default way of being. Explaining the problem, many people who learn to interrupt and rewire their overthinking still struggle to maintain the gains. They have good days, then suddenly fall back into old patterns. They wonder, why does it keep coming back? The reason is simple. They treated the tools as temporary fixes instead of building a completely new operating system. A new operating system means the mind no longer defaults to rumination. It defaults to presence, self-compassion, and purposeful action. Without intentional maintenance, the old pathways can slowly regain strength. This chapter gives you the exact practices and mindset shifts needed to make the new way of thinking stick for life. Meet Aisha. Aisha, 36, had suffered from severe overthinking for 15 years. After working through the previous chapters, she experienced dramatic improvement. But after a few months, old patterns started creeping back during a stressful period at work. Instead of panicking, she used the maintenance practices from this chapter. She returned to daily self-compassion, scheduled worry time, and values-based decision-making. Within 3 weeks, she was back to her new baseline of calm clarity. Aisha now says, overthinking still visits sometimes, but it no longer moves in and takes over my house. I have the keys now. She didn't just recover. She built a sustainable new way of living. Deep dive, building and maintaining your new operating system. Here are the core elements you need to live with a clear, peaceful mind long-term. 1. Daily maintenance practices. Morning grounding, 5 to 10 minutes of breath work or body scan. Evening reflection, gratitude plus evidence journaling. Midday check-ins, 30-second labeling when you notice rumination starting. These small habits compound into a completely different default state. 2. Mindset shifts that stick. From, I must control everything, I can respond wisely to what is from, I am my thoughts. I am the observer of my thoughts. From, something is wrong with me. I am human and doing my best. Repeat these shifts until they become automatic. 3. Handling setbacks with self-compassion. When you slip back into overthinking, and you will, respond with kindness instead of self-criticism. Self-criticism strengthens the old pathways. Self-compassion weakens them. 4. Creating external supports. Accountability partner or journal environment design. Reduce triggers like excessive social media. Regular digital detox periods. 5. Advanced integration combine mental models from earlier chapters with emotional tools. Use first principles plus self-compassion when facing a worry spiral. Use inversion plus labeling when anxiety rises. What your new normal looks like. You will still have thoughts, but they will feel lighter. Decisions will come easier. Presence with loved ones will feel natural. Sleep will improve. Joy will return in small, beautiful moments. The deeper freedom. Living with a clear mind is not the absence of all thoughts. It is the presence of peace even when thoughts arise. It is freedom from being controlled by your mind. Chapter 8. The Liberated Mind, Your New Life Beyond. You have now walked through the full psychology of overthinking, from understanding its roots to interrupting the cycle, rewiring your brain, and building a new operating system. In this final chapter, you'll step fully into the liberated mind, the peaceful, clear, empowered life that becomes possible when overthinking no longer controls you. You will see what lasting freedom actually looks like, how to protect it, and how to live as a calm, present, wise version of yourself you were always meant to be. This is the beginning of your new chapter. Stay with me until the end. Intellectual hook. Imagine waking up each morning with a quiet mind. No racing thoughts. Number 3 a.m. worry spirals. No constant mental rehearsal of every possible future. Instead, there is space. There is presence. There is a gentle confidence that you can handle whatever life brings without needing to overthink every detail. This is not a fantasy. This is the natural state of a liberated mind. You have done the hard work of understanding the problem, interrupting the loops, rewiring the pathways, and building new habits. Now you get to live the reward. In this final chapter, we move from practice to embodiment. We explore what your daily life, relationships, work, and inner world look like when overthinking is no longer the default setting. This is where healing becomes freedom. Contextual agitation. Explaining the problem, many people who finish a book or course on overthinking feel better for a while, then slowly slide back into old patterns. They wonder why the peace doesn't last. The reason is simple. They treated the journey as a temporary project instead of a permanent identity shift. True liberation is not a technique you use when you feel anxious. It is a new way of being, a new identity. I am someone who thinks clearly and lives peacefully. Without consciously stepping into this new identity and protecting it daily, the old overthinking habits can quietly return. This chapter is your bridge from I am working on this to this is who I am now. Real-world example, meet Marcus. Marcus, 45, had been a severe overthinker for over 20 years. After applying everything from the previous chapters, he experienced profound change. But the real test came during a major life crisis. His company downsized and he lost his job. In the past, this would have triggered months of rumination, anxiety, and sleepless nights. This time, something was different. The thoughts still came, but they no longer consumed him. He used his interruption tools immediately. He practiced self-compassion instead of self-criticism. He returned to his values and made decisions from clarity instead of fear. Within weeks, he found a better opportunity and felt stronger than before the setback. Marcus didn't just manage overthinking. He had become someone who lives with a liberated mind, even in difficult times. Living with a liberated mind. What does daily life actually look like when overthinking loses its power? 1. Morning freedom. You wake up and your first thoughts are gentle instead of anxious. You spend the first 10 minutes grounding yourself instead of reaching for your phone and triggering worry loops. 2. Decision-making without paralysis. You make choices with confidence. You gather the necessary information, apply the right mental models, and then act without endless second-guessing. 3. Present relationships. You are fully there with the people you love. Conversations feel deeper. You listen instead of mentally rehearsing what you'll say next. Intimacy returns because you are no longer half-present. 4. Emotional resilience. When difficult emotions arise, you meet them with self-compassion instead of rumination. Challenges still happen, but they no longer derail you for days or weeks. 5. Creative and productive flow. Your mind becomes a tool instead of a tyrant. Creativity flows more easily because there is less mental noise blocking it. You get more done with less effort. 6. A deeper sense of peace. There is an underlying calm that stays with you even when life is busy or stressful. You trust yourself more. You trust life more. How to protect your liberated mind. Continue daily maintenance practices. Even 10 minutes a day makes a huge difference. Regularly review your progress in a journal. Surround yourself with people who support calm. Clear thinking. Be gentle with yourself during setbacks. They are normal and temporary. The final truth. You were never meant to live trapped in your own mind. You were meant to live with clarity, presence, and peace. The overthinking was never the real you. It was a survival strategy that outlived its usefulness. You have now reclaimed your mind. You have now walked the full journey. From understanding why your mind refuses to rest, through the hidden mechanisms and emotional roots, all the way to practical tools, rewiring practices, and finally stepping into a clearer, calmer way of living. The most important thing I want you to remember is this. You are not broken. You are not your thoughts. You are the calm awareness behind them. And that awareness is always available to you. Every time the old overthinking patterns try to return, gently bring yourself back using the tools you've learned. Be patient and kind with yourself. Change doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen with consistent, compassionate practice. If this audiobook gave you even one moment of relief, one insight that shifted something inside you, or one tool you're excited to try, please do 3 things for me. Hit the like button. It really helps this channel grow. Leave a comment below with your biggest takeaway. Tell me which chapter or tool resonated with you the most. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss future full audiobooks and deep wisdom from the infinite library. You deserve a mind that feels like a peaceful home instead of a noisy battlefield. And now you have the map to get there. Until we meet again in the next book, think clearly, live lightly, and remember, silence and clarity are always one gentle breath away. Thank you for being here.